the podcast. Fights and Fights is the name.
When AEW was first established, it felt like the biggest story was always who was going to make the jump from WWE. And now it's more common to see people leave All Elite Wrestling to make their way to WWE or back to WWE. These days, that includes a good number of WWE's champions. A number of them either started AEW or started in AEW.
Thought it was a typo, but no, that's right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Let's go through a few of these folks, and curious to see how we would compare their time in WWE with what they're doing nowadays. The first biggest one, of course, is Cody Rhodes, who went from smashing Triple H's throne to kneeling in front of it and becoming champion. He's now the world champion. He never was going to be in AEW because they took him out of the running for that so early. But it also feels like he was a guy who, when he left the company as a whole, like in terms of marketing and branding, kind of rudderless. What do you think? Is it even close? Like who he was in his initial run in WWE, he reached his sort of final form and took that to AEW. How do you compare to the work he was doing there to what he's done in WWE?
I mean, I just think it's just one of those testaments to what wrestling used to be for decades. That there's so many stories where you can see somebody doing a tryout or a jobber match in WWF, and then they go start a career in the territories and come back a completely different dude. There's so much to be said about what you can gain. But was it Jim Ross that said go learn a new hold? Like that's so, it's so real, like stepping outside of the comfort zone, learning the things you have to learn to become the main event version of yourself. The WWE never would have done that for him. They never would have done that for him. With the pedigree that he has, the son of a legend, they were never going to put him in that position. He had to step outside of it and learn how to be that. So to me, like, his AEW run is just like, oh, he put it together. He figured it out, how to be a main eventer in starting a company, which is an incredible feat that's unheard of. And then to bring him back to where it wasn't even a question whether or not he should be a main eventer, and they put him in that slot immediately, and he was able to dethrone the main character of WWE the last 5 years. I just think it's brilliant, and it's a testament to something that somehow this industry has to preserve, this ability to go away and figure some things out and come back like the strongest version of yourself.
Yeah. It's one might compare working as like a world champion and also wrestling while starting your own company as Goku training with the weights in space.
Yeah.
Like, like
10
all
times
the
gravity. Yeah.
Yeah. All the responsibility of also propping up like this company. And then like, while also still being a wrestler and doing all your wrestling stuff. And you could see how it kind of weighed down some of like the story and the wrestling. And as we mentioned earlier, Cody Island, but then like, you take off the weights, you take off the responsibility of the company. And it's like, oh, fuck, I forgot I had those on. And now your hair's turning blonde. This is a really apt fucking good for you, Danielle. That was a really apt thing because now you're Super Saiyan.
He did Super Saiyan Cody. Yeah, that's true.
Now you're Super Saiyan.
Yeah. He did, I would say, like, what he did with AEW and helping to establish it is probably the biggest thing he'll ever do in wrestling. Not, and that doesn't minimize any of his accomplishments, but I think it points out like how big a deal that was.
Yes,
his success was in the indies, and also helping to establish another successful $1 billion wrestling promotion that doesn't happen without him. But then and without that, I don't think he comes back and now he's more marketable than he's ever been. Which with bleach blonde hair and a neck tattoo says a lot. Like and also like everything he does, the liquor stuff, the podcast, he's so smart. He has such a sharp business sense that I think is what AEW misses the most and would have
Mm.
benefited from the most had they figured out a way to get him to stay. And I mean, I don't know that any of us know what the real conditions were behind him leaving, but clearly like the business brains of the group left.
And like he'll never say what it is, and that I think is like as much of a testament. Like he's not going on to like Hawani, or like he's not going on to like any of these other dudes. Every time he's asked, he's just like, we left on great terms. It was the right decision for everybody, and like I'm moving forward, they're moving forward. This will always be something that I will be proud of until the day that I die. And that also like speaks not only well of him as like a dude, because he could bury them at any time if he wanted to, and because of his visibility, it doesn't matter what the real story is, unless people were coming out with like receipts upon receipts, like people are going to believe Cody because again of like his visibility and where he's at for the most part. Maybe not like a bunch of like AEW fans, but he could if he wanted to. But like the fact that it really honestly, and I think that there is so much animosity in wrestling. The fact that all of them have walked away with this kind of being like genuinely so happy for you, genuinely nothing but like good things for you. And some of the things that we've heard, and I know that we joke, and I probably will later, about civil rights leader Cody, but we hear over and over again like talent talk about like how Cody very much was always like making sure that Black talent, like things were happening for them over there, and like women things, like trying to get these things going. And yeah, like obviously him as a champion is amazing, and he was able to, it is so much right place, right time, because it's right as John's leaving, and you're looking for the new Mr. America, right? You're looking for the new guy that the kids want to carry the belt for. So that was perfect. But I agree with you. Like I think like it's not that anybody could be champion. It's that nobody can start a successful competitor to WWE, and the fact that he was able to do it is fucking insane.
Yeah. Let's go from someone who left on great terms to someone who left on horrible terms.
I wonder who we're going to talk about.
I don't know. Jade Cargill, clearly. Now, I was so upset when CM Punk came back to WWE. I was like, I don't like, things are working right now. I just watched that press conference. I read all the stories about it. I don't want this dude who clearly like doesn't want to do this anymore, really. Like I don't need him to show up. And he had that really interesting storyline with MJF in AEW. And then he shows up in WWE and not only has been like a model citizen, but is program-wise, you could argue he's doing the best work of his career between what he's done with Seth and what he did with Drew McIntyre. Like in terms of being compelling and wanting to watch those two combinations over and over and over again. Like neither of them got tired. Now he's got the world title for the second time, and he's carrying it in Seth's injury. Like it's such a 180. I almost don't know what to do with it. Like this is the new kayfabe, because I have no idea what is going on. Like who is this person? Why is it working here when it didn't work here in the first time when he left, and it didn't work in AEW very soon into what was going on? Like what, Mike, what do you think? What am I missing here? Why is it messing with my head so much?
I mean, I think he's a person who desperately needs structure. And in AEW, there wasn't any. And wrestling is a sort of business where, if there's not a strong leadership in place, these people's personalities just go wild. And obviously, I mean, outside looking in, of course, there's a lot of weird politics in AEW. And again, with no guiding strong hand to make sure things are in place, and nobody's afraid of being disciplined. I mean, you look at Andrade, like, oh, we're gonna suspend you if you punch Sammy Guevara in the face. Okay, and I'm gonna punch Sammy Guevara in the face. I think there was a lot of evidence that, at least in terms of the years that Punk was there, inmates running the asylum, and different people had political power that felt very differently about how a wrestling company should go. And that sucks when these people have to interact in storylines. You have to put the champion on somebody. Booking has to be done a certain way with somebody's values in mind. And I think that's why it didn't work there. I think if he came back to WWE and Vince was there, I'm not sure it would have worked.
Mm.
That's true.
I think he came back at a time when the values now are from Triple H, who was a lifelong student of wrestling and not out of his mind yet. You know, when he turns 65, who knows, right? But right now, he seems to have his facilities and he, you know, had his booking philosophies. He was able to try out in NXT to various levels of success and really, you know, got the ball and ran with it. And now he's been given the ball here. I think it's just a much better environment for CM Punk than it was originally, and he's been allowed to flourish. And the one thing that I would say is negative, I think that they've done some things with CM Punk that have taken his luster off a little bit in a way
Really?
that I don't think is necessary. I think, you know, I don't know how these conversations go, but I think CM Punk is a more interesting person if you don't make him go to Saudi Arabia. I think if because they've had some people who didn't have to go in the past, right? And I don't know whose idea it was, but I think, you know, putting him in a position where he's got to go and answer to Saudi children about the things he said in the past and
Yeah.
sort of take this step that does like it doesn't seem like it's a good idea to put this character in that environment, given what he seems to have stood for. And he doesn't like, there's nothing to really bridge that gap between who you think he is and now what you see him like, what you see him doing now. And then to have Cena do that pipe bomb on him where it really laid a lot of that shit out. Like, this guy is not who you think he is. And it's like, damn, like, I think some of that stuff has gone a little far. And I think some of that stuff, like, it's obviously he's over as hell. But I think that there was a little bit of special fairy dust on his character that they sort of knocked off a little bit. And I don't necessarily think that it was a good idea to do those things.
Yeah, it's the authenticity kind of kills it. Danielle, I'm curious. You're someone who's infamously, I don't think any of us are a fan of Wrestler's Court, but you in particular, I feel like have shown disdain for it. Do you think there's an element though to the fact that something like that has existed in WWE for such a long time, and there are sort of locker room police that
No, because
forces
that's what HR
Punk
is
to
for.
behave?
Like, there should be people.
I know there should
who
be. I'm
are
not saying
not,
it's good,
yeah,
but
yeah.
do you think that's the difference between WWE and AEW? There's nobody internally going like, "Hey,
No.
I'm the Undertaker, and that's not how we do shit here," or
No.
someone who's a descendant of that. No,
No,
Not
so
at all?
I think that first of all, I think that no, I think that CM Punk is like he was medicine for like both companies. I think that if that was always going to eventually happen with AEW, the way it was set up, to Mike's point, it was going to take someone who was going to come in and fucking put their nuts on the table for them to have to learn to get it together. And it seems like they're doing a better job of that now because it's happening. And maybe he was the best, like, these are all hindsight thoughts. He was the best person to have done that because it was always going to happen eventually. So you want to have it with someone who was like, well, he was gone before he came back, and then is, you know, not someone who's been there for a long time or something like that, right? And then he learned his lesson in AEW, came to WWE, and this is why I don't think it has anything to do with Wrestling Court. I think it has everything to do with the fact that he knows this is it. There's nowhere else for him to go if he fucks this up. That's it.
That's true.
He can't go back to AEW. Like, he came back, he came out of retirement, big deal was made, goes to AEW, that falls apart in such a spectacular fashion that when they finally do the documentary on it, I'm front row, I'm already in the theater. Like, I can't wait. So when he comes over here and you hear, like, you know, and who knows how much of this is like a work shoot or whatever, but, you know, like people before, like Seth saying the same things you are, you're a cancer, you're a locker room cancer, like other people speaking out, like who knows what's real and what's not. But the fact that he comes in, the locker room already is, a lot of people have feelings about it. And then again, like, where's he going to go after this? He going to go to TNA? Is CM Punk going to go to TNA? He's not. That's it. He's done with the wrestling if he fucks this over. I think that's why we get so much of like grateful Punk. And I do think that it seems like a lot of what he wanted to do in AEW is eventually get to a point where he would transition into management, knowing that he's at the end of his bump card, like knowing that that's just how bodies work. And so that's the carrot and the stick for him here, is having a soft place to land when he's done landing on hard places for a living.
Mhm.
And so that's what it
That's
is.
poetic. That's poetic.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Occasionally, like once or twice, I'll start talking about tits and shit later. I'll bring it back. But like, I
Tits and
think
Shits is our other podcast category after this.
yeah, you like them. But so but yeah, so I think that that's like, it's not about wrestler core. It's not about being good for the dudes. I do genuinely think he believes in wrestling and he loves wrestling and he wants to like be a part of the next generation of it. I also think that is he going to go to UFC? What's he going to do after this? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
after having retired, came back, if you fuck over two companies, then also what is he going to make movies with people knowing that this is how he acts? All bridges burned, nothing to do. Sit on your royalties, get a podcast. That's it. Podcasting would be his last stop. So no, it's not about that. It's about like, he's on parole.
Right. What about Ricky Starks, who has now become Ricky Saints and is the NXT champion? How do you take sort of what he did in AEW with what he's done in NXT?
I have not watched NXT in years, so I have no idea what he's doing over there. And but what I find to be more interesting, or not more interesting, what I find to be interesting is that I don't hear about what he's doing over there. So so my sense of it is that, as entertaining as it might be, and probably is, it's not setting the world on fire. But you know, it's difficult to say, because is he a person who ends up having to be in NXT a long time because he's, you know, on the undersized technically for what WWE is looking for in their main event? I mean, because that was, you know, one excellent reason for him to have stayed in AEW, if that had worked out better, was that they positioned people his size in real main event roles. He could have been wrestling for the world title. I don't know if I see him doing that on main roster WWE. I would love to see him there though, just because I think his mic skills, his talking, his charisma, like that. I think, you know, outside of, you know, LA Knight, there's not a ton of charisma on the main roster. So I'm always looking for injections of that into what we're seeing. But I'm actually curious to hear from y'all how Ricky Saints has been doing in NXT, because I really don't know.
I think he's been doing great, and I think that he's obviously being, considering how fast everything's kind of moving along, he's being positioned, I think, because he was kind of like up and down, and there were like reasons why obviously like that relationship had to end. I also, along with you, Mike, I think that he's fantastic. I also think that like he's good at talking, he's good at wrestling, but the character of him, I think that there's kind of quite a few dudes like that right now who are like his shape and size and ability. And so his struggle, if he ever when he goes to the main roster, is going to be making it so that he sticks out. And like, what are you going to do so you don't look like Austin Theory? Like, what are you going to do so you don't, like, there are a bunch of dudes right now who are kind of in that, like, I'm funny and I'm really like snappy with the words. It's like, cool. So like, how are you not going to be Dominic Mysterio? You know what I mean? Like, how are you not going to be these other dudes? And you got to figure out what that thing is going to be, because it can't just be, I'm a good wrestler and I want to win the title, because like that's everybody's gimmick. That's like the gimmick, is I'm a good wrestler and I want to win the title. And he is a good wrestler, and I'm glad that he's holding belts. That's my worry, is that if he gets up there, unless he finds whatever his thing is going to be, he's going to get swallowed up. Because even in LA Knight, as good as he is with the talking, he gets swallowed up pretty fucking easily. And it's a hardcore fucking bummer. So that's my worry for him.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people who sort of disappear or get swallowed up, one of the problems that AEW has had is they've always had a ton of talented women, and a seeming inability to showcase them properly. That's gotten better over time, but Jade Cargill feels like maybe their biggest missed opportunity. And the way that she's been brought along in WWE, that to now be a world champion and still a work in progress, but she went and did work and didn't appear on television until she was ready to at least appear on television. And with that foundation and what she's building and who she can work with, it feels like they're really like, if I were a woman in AEW, I might look and go like, oh, that's a place where I'm going to be able to have a lot more opportunity than I have right now, unless I'm part of a very small handful of people. Does that feel accurate, Danielle?
Well, so right now, AEW, their women's division is like, that's what I'm watching. They're doing a lot of really interesting stuff. Again, it's a thing like, it's like, I'm just talking about how like a lot of the dudes of like a certain size are like kind of feeling samey. There was a second where everyone was wearing those fucking bondage straps. Like everybody was like this, the gear was a lot the same, and it's starting to be a lot more different. And there's like a lot more differences in body shape or whatever. With obviously with Jade, like, you know, they saw her and went, you're a fucking star, and rushed her through the process of being on TV, which hurt them and it hurt her. And unfortunately, that's always going to stick with her. She's always going to feel like a rookie because they rushed her development. She'd only been wrestling like a year before she got on TV the first time. And, you know, she studied and she did a lot of work with Daniel Bryan. And I know that she's done a lot of work with Natty, and she's been putting in the work. And she looks like a star and she carries herself like a star. Like she is a star. And now I feel like it's finally all starting to come together and get put together in a really good way. And she does one of my favorite things in the world, where like, because she's got that combination of like strength, but like it seems unexpected because she still seems quite slight, except it's all fucking muscle.
It's all muscle, yeah.
Yeah, so you can do that thing where you just fucking grab a bitch out of the air, which is amazing to me. Bitches hopping around, just grab her out of the air. Amazing. It's like watching a fighting game in real life, you know? Like a midair block. It's dope. I wish she would do. I hope she does more hitting women with other women, because dudes hitting dudes with another dude is like my favorite thing. A woman hitting women with other women would be my favorite thing. But so that's it. And she's doing great. But again, it is one of those things where it's like, I love her. I'm glad she's getting that shine. She does best when she is in the ring with someone else who is also more experienced than she is. And I don't blame any of this on her. Someone hands you a contract, says you're the future of our company. You say yes. They say that they trust that they can build you into it. You say yes. And you know, it's rough that we didn't get to see her start now instead of when she started, but I'm sure it wasn't rough for her bank account. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, again, like you say, or like you're alluding to, it's much like the Maxine Dupree situation, but far further along, because obviously a lot more experience at a lot higher of a level for longer. And I love this recent sort of ratcheting up of her character that they've done and presented her stronger, presented her as like, I'm not taking shit off of nobody, and it's sort of like it's almost a heel turn, but it's a little bit of a tweener, but it's just a very strong character. I really like that. And I really loved when she was it her nose that got busted and she was bleeding, or her head that got when she got busted open hard way in that match. I think it was with Nia Jax. And she just completely like embodied it and was just in the camera, like just look at, like, that's what I want to see more of from her, is her being put in situations where like her actual personality comes through, because the little bit of gulf I feel like between who her character is and who she seems to be as a person is, it seems like she's always on the edge of cracking a smile. You know what I'm saying? Like always right there on the edge of cracking a smile. And it's like, if they can just figure, and that's probably something like, again, like I was saying, if she was able to do what Cody did, if the territory system was still around and she was able to go spend 2 years working other places, I'm sure that gap would get so small you wouldn't be able to notice it between who she is, what she's actually feeling, and what she's doing in the ring. But it's been amazing to watch where she's gotten so far, and she's so dope, and I love the care that they're taking with her character.
And to your point, and I'll wrap this up, the smiling thing, because I see kind of where you're getting at. Like, I mean, how many shows where it's been like the ultimate badass, you hit him and they smile about it? That's scarier to me. I'm in a ring with Jade Cargill, who, again, fucking grabbing women from midair and slamming them down on the ground. And I hit her, she bleeds, and she smiles at me. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm crawling out of the ring and I'm hiding underneath it and grabbing a kendo stick or something because I'm not doing this by myself. Oh no, ma'am. Oh no, ma'am.